Okay, Rob, I'm just got done watching most of your video on this 13B build. Very impressive. I've been wanting to make this video for you. I'm sorry I've been snowed under. My life is a whirlwind. We got a Jeep, we got a boat, we got an engine for that thing. We got so much stuff I got so much stuff I'm building that I can't keep up with it all, plus work. So I wanted to show you this. Now this is our baby. We've been driving this car for, well, since 2004. So 16, is that 16 years? I don't know, a long ass time. Actually, the first trip we made on it was April of 2005, I believe. But it then had a Triumph engine, which is over there in the corner now. We drove it for 10 years. The Triumph engine. Finally, I cracked an intake manifold on the way to Tampa. Choked the carburetor, didn't know exactly what had gone on. Took the top end apart, realized that, you know, hey, we've got a cracked intake manifold, and we can fix that. But I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and send that engine, or the head, to my machinist and have him do a valve job on it. Of course, what happens when you bump up the pressure, when you work on your top end, you end up putting more demand on the bottom end. So when you tighten up the head, you have a tendency to give your bearings a test. And of course, we spun a rod bearing, make a long story short. But I already had the rotary engine. It took me a little bit to build it, but here it is. So here's the car, and I had to put the hood ornament on there so that the distributor will fit. I am not a guy that likes a lot of computer stuff. So this is what I've got. We just put the distributor in there. Well, I just put a distributor in there. I had points ignition in it. And these engines, I found, don't run worth a shit on points ignition. So this is solid state distributor. Got one igniter, wired to 12 volts keyed, and then just running the two leading spark plugs. I'm not using the trailing plugs at all. They're there. And the reason I'm kind of doing this video, because we're getting ready to drive down to Grand Lake of the Cherokees this weekend, and I got to clean those spark plugs. But, you know, if I wanted to, I could just take the ones out of the top and trade them, but whatever. And then this has got the original radiator. This is the radiator out of the MG, which does okay. I had to move the heater core over there. I don't have it plumbed in yet. I got a couple fans. We're going to see if we can kind of make it work. I kind of half-ass had it working. I went with the Weber carburetor because I'm always a fan of Weber's. It seems to work fine. I had to do a little finagling with it. I've rebuilt this engine once, but it sat for 10 years in an alleyway outside, uncovered, with the transmission bolted to it. I bought it, soaked it in seafoam for 6 weeks, got it rolling over, put on all the accessories, and away we went. The oil control seals were shot on the number 2, and we had low compression. I don't think you can see it down there, but there's a header down there. I built a header. It's a hand-built header. I had to make one cut under the engine bay, and that's right here. The MG heater core and fan box went right here where the bell housing's at. So there was a shelf right there, and I had to make that cut. Otherwise, under the engine bay, I haven't made any changes. I haven't drilled any holes. I have a piece of channel, and this is an old style, like a Gen 1 front cover. And that's going into a piece of channel, and then the channel's bolted through the bolts for the rack and pinion steering unit. Now, I have this fancy can here. That's my overflow can. And this is kind of a wiring mess. I know you can appreciate that. But this is a thermostat controlled fan. I have a fan here, and then I have 2 fans here. This fan will eventually go up on the hood. I had to modify that hood a little bit. This is actually a ghetto hood. You can see where I filled the bullet holes. That's legit. That's real. This had bullet holes in it when I got it, and I just kind of half-assed it together. Kubota tractor alternator so that it'll fit under the hood. That's why I cut the holes in here. But I had to cut a hole for that distributor because the solid state distributor is taller. Now, that crazy ass guy, Ron Golden, he's like, oh, we'll just build you a distributor. They're not very hard to build. That's out of my wheelhouse. I don't have that kind of talent. So under the hoods, you know, that's cut and dry. And then in here, I'll show you the inside. We'll just flip it. Now this is a touring car, mind you, not a race car. But let's see what we've got here. There's the second cut I had to make right there. I had to cut that back because the shifter used to be up here for the British transmission, and the Mazda transmission sits back here, and I had to have the drive shaft custom built. I asked them to put the Chrysler yoke on the front end, and they put a General Motors yoke on the front end. The Mazda guys always go with the Chrysler yoke because it clears the transmission right there under the shifter or the tail end of it. You have to clear that, so you have to use a Chrysler yoke. Well, they put a General Motors yoke on there, so I had to get on the damn transmission and grind that shit out and mill it to where I could clear for my drive shaft. Of course, I was able to put 1,000 miles on it before the rear end started making noise, not the differential, but the U-joint, because they used a press to press the U-joints in without really checking the fit on the U-joint caps, on the trunnion caps. The new U-joints that you get, if you put them on old yokes or old drive shafts, you'll find that the milling and the casting is just a hair off. So you've got to get in there and grind out your trunnion holes before you put your caps in. They squeezed it so hard that it ruined the U-joints. I only got, like I said, 1,000 miles out of that rear U-joint. And I took it apart, bought a new U-joint, got my die grinder out and milled it out to where the trunnion caps would fit right, and then it works fine. Now it works fine. But it was the big turning point was the distributor. When I went from points ignition to solid state, it turned into an entirely different animal. It went from being dangerous and fairly scary to just suicidal. But we love it. No boost. I don't know why you do boost. I know you want to generate the big horsepower and all that, and I appreciate that. But you can see, no, not a whole lot of room. I suppose if you wanted to, we could fit a Pro Charger right in here somewhere. But you see, in the front end, there's another noticeable point. The front end. This is actually the cowling off the bottom of a Suburban. And then the oil cooler's here, and it fits just right. I had to make some modifications, but the oil cooler does fit. It's right on the front there, and we painted it black. So all in all, I think it's a wonderful build. It's a comfortable car. We've been riding in it for going on 15 years now, and we just love it. So I hope you enjoy this video. I really enjoy watching your stuff that you're putting together and pushing that 13B to the limits. It's always been a passion of mine to have these crazy engines. The two-cycle, I'm a two-cycle maniac. So, you know, whatever it takes to have maximum horsepower with minimum engine weight. I appreciate it. So I got some other videos on my page. Poke through them, watch them. Hope you enjoy them. Get a laugh. Have a drink with me. And who knows, maybe next year the COVID won't hit and we can come out in the car and hang out. We're going to definitely eventually see the Sequoias and cruise through the canyons and whatever out in California with this car and enjoy it. We've been, God knows, we've been everywhere else with it. So thanks for watching, man. Love you a lot. I really enjoy your shit. Have a good one.